Hi, I'm Tara Lynn of Geek Saga Entertainment, and welcome to Dunkin' Egg Tales. Woo! This podcast series covers HBO's Night of the Seven Kingdoms episode by episode with myself, an avid reader of all things Aesop, and my amazing co-host Manny, a Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon fan who is unsullied, aka has never read the books, being your stalwart hosts. First things first, you can find me on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at A Geek Saga.
And I'm Manny, the aforementioned unsullied co-host, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Bendissimo Art. Thank you for joining us for this episode, which will cover Night of the Seven Kingdoms, Season 1, Episode 5, titled In the Name of the Mother.
As a reminder, expect spoilers from the episode we're covering, but less obvious, there will be very minimal book spoilers from the Night of the Seven Kingdoms novella collection, which is, of course, the source material for this show, but only up to and including what has happened in aired episodes of the show. We will kick off with our episode summary, then get into our tallest tales, aka our hot takes from the episode, followed by our favorites roundup, featuring our personal fave things. After that, we'll close out by touching on Maester Manny's predictions on what might come next.
We also have a rating system that we will, as in our Hot D Take series, fill in when and where we please. And that system includes rating things on a scale of 1 to 10 dunk eggs.
Just one last piece of business before we dig in. Don't forget that Geek Saga Entertainment has a Patreon with 10 tiers ranging from $1 a month to $40 a month. It offers tons of ways to support us and receive some great perks in return, including live streams of these Dunkin' Egg Tales episodes for $5 and up per month, access to the video recordings about 24 to 36 hours after we live stream for $3 and up a month. And then, as usual, $3 and up a month patrons also get early access to the podcast episodes. Check it out at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.
And now it's time for the tall and the bold of it, our very brief for this series episode summary.
Well, the Trial of Seven is scheduled for Dawn 100, and guess what time it is? Time for Prince Baelor to tell Team Dunk to be vigilant and not die as they take their places for a fight to, well, death or yielding, but we'll see how that goes considering...
Don't worry, though. First, they finally give night number 7 a name. Beesbury, of course, and a bit of puking for good measure, because we have to have some type of bodily function for this show.
Dunk also gets one more jibe in at Egg, but then they're off. Or, well, everyone but Dunk is, because he's frozen in fear. Can't blame him for that. And it takes Egg yelling his training words at Thunder, and Thunder taking matters into his own... hooves for things to really get going.
Or, well, maybe not, because Dunk gets stabbed in the side right away. He's knocked off his horse and then splat, squish, it's a helm full of mud.
Gestures like that butterfly meme. Is this Dunk's life flashing before his eyes?
No, but really though, we go from hectic field of trial to getting Dunk's history in a nutshell. Or maybe should we say his history in a mud helm?
Anyway, young Dunk was in love and he and his girlfriend were saving money to escape to the free cities, but then the Blackfire Rebellion ended and the cost of shipping out doubled and they were stuck in Flea Bottom where they were attacked by some asshole gold cloaks and Dunk's poor little girlfriend was killed, but Dunk was saved by Sir Arlen, who he then followed out of King's Landing.
And it's Dunk's recalling, or maybe dreaming of, Sir Arlen telling him to get up that, well, gets him the fuck up back in the trial, that is, and he continues to get up over and over again despite Ashadian fighting dirty and Dunk being bludgeoned with maces and shit.
Seriously, my gods, that was also painful to watch. Even when Dunk finally scores a good slice on Ashadian, he ends up collapsing and poor Egg has to scream, "Get up, sir, get up," more times than we care to count before Dunk seems to practically come back from the dead.
For real, Dunk had us worried there for, well, more than a second, but this time once he's up, he's at least up enough to take Ashadian down.
Yep, that's right, you yield, dumb face.
Unfortunately, Ashadian withdrawing his stupid accusation at this point is too little too late for the two Humphreys and for someone even more important.
Honestly, even me as a book reader, knowing what was coming, was wishing that this episode would end with Dunk taking a knee for Prince Baelor and Baelor saying that the realm needs good men. As soon as Baelor asked them to remove his helm, I was just over here thinking, oh, no, not the helm, please, no.
However, sadly, yes, Steely Plate and Raymond Fossaway remove Baelor's helm, and it's pretty much immediately R.I.P. Prince Baelor. And we don't want to think about Dunk sobbing and apologizing anymore, so on on to tallest tale number 1, Sir Arlen of Pennytree, worthy of that big dick energy, aka Sir Arlen to the rescue, and even wasted to the point of puking as he's able to take care of these two assholes. Points for Sir Arlen.
I loved how they portrayed him and Dunk's first meeting, quote unquote. You can't really call it that because it was literally him just stumbling out of the back of a bar, throwing up, and then it's saying, leave this kid alone, and then attacking those two guys. But yeah, it was great. Worthy of that big dick energy for sure. I give him 10 out of 10 big dick energy.
Yes.
Worthiness.
10,
10 out of 10 dunk eggs, dunk
Yes.
eggs for
Dunk
his
eggs.
big dick
Yes.
energy.
10 inches of dunk eggs right there, dude.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see. It's finally to see someone being drunk and like wielding a sword around, but actually doing good instead of just being an asshole. Because Game of Thrones is pretty notorious for drunk dumbasses with swords doing fucking bad shit, you know? So it was nice to just see a drunkard come out and just take the head off somebody like it was nothing. I appreciated that. Yeah. And it's like, just fuck him. That's why, you know, like, and that was the whole energy that I loved, you know? He just came out of it. He had no fucking stake in that. And he was just like, fuck them, fucking take their heads off. And then stabbing that fucking dude with his own fucking knife. I was like, perfect.
Also, I loved that the first guy, he like immediately lops off his head, but also the head rolls into the pig pen and it was very like Deadwood. Deadwood vibes here. Good job on you, HBO. I mean, or really the creators. And I know that feeding dead bodies to pigs is not a Deadwood only thing, that like it's a historical thing, but every time I see it anywhere else, my mind immediately goes to Deadwood. I think it was popularized in media by that show. Honestly. Now, I do have some like observations and questions about this. First, did Sir Arlen really not notice Dunk limping along behind him all that time, though? It's kind of silly and also sad if he didn't, but also still somehow big dick energy, maybe? Like he's just living his own life and there's this not small kid following him, not at a large distance either. And he's just too busy like singing and spouting nonsense babble and riding his horses and drinking, like to notice that there's a kid in his periphery.
Right there. Yeah. Nope.
He never looks behind him, doesn't watch his back at all.
Nope.
So you don't think he noticed him? You don't think he noticed him? I honestly wasn't sure. It was like,
I think he probably didn't notice him, and then it probably just became funny to him. And then that way somebody can be there to listen to all of his ramblings when no one's around.
This is kind of off topic, but that was my second question is, what was he babbling all that time?
Yeah.
If it was supposed to be another language,
Wasn't clear.
It didn't sound like one. It didn't sound like High Valyrian, or not that I really think Sir Arlen would know High Valyrian or Dothraki or any of these other languages from the Free Cities, etc. I don't really think he's the type to know those, but maybe, I guess, but I doubt it. It was an interesting choice for them to have all that noise in the background the whole time Dunk was following him, even when Sir Arlen's mouth wasn't moving. Did you notice that? Like there were a couple times where Sir Arlen was just like, one time he was sitting at the fire and his mouth wasn't even moving, but the babbling of his voice was just there in the background. And it's like, either it was an interesting choice or a bad edit. To be honest, I have another editing thing, continuity thing that rubbed me more the wrong way. Like it was very obvious that that's what it was. It was like some sort of editing or continuity error that I'll get into later. But that does make me wonder if this was some sort of weird like editing error. I think it went on too long for it to be an error. And it's like, I'm not even really complaining. I just want to know what the fuck he was supposed to be saying.
What was he supposed to be saying exactly?
Did he have a sibling? And when he was little, they had a secret language or something like that, maybe? I don't know. Like, what was this?
What was it? Exactly.
Tallest tale number 2. Meanwhile, back at the trial, Ass Hattie and Dumbface fights dirty, but Dunk, in the end, does not. Or well, he doesn't really anyway.
No.
It honestly kind of surprised me that Arian was fighting as hard as he was, to be honest. I guess he's not a total coward. I mean, we know he's taught to fight very well. Of course, he's a Targaryen, he's a prince, whatever. But after how he acted, regarding the trial especially, insisting on the trial by 7, refusing to face Dunk one-on-one, it's like, he fought more than I thought he would. And then Dunk finally getting Arian down and like really wailing on him just like he would have in Flea Bottom.
He pulls off that shield and starts fucking bashing his shit, and I was like, yes!
There is no Dana, only Zool. There is no Sir Duncan the Tall, only Dunk of Flea Bottom. That said, even though Dunk could have beaten Arian to death right then, when Arian yields, Dunk accepts that and he lets Arian live. For a minute there, you could technically say that Dunk was fighting dirty, but in the end, he does what he, as a knight, is supposed to.
He did good, and I liked that. He didn't let the rage get him, even though he was raging. He was raging pretty good, but he knew when to stop, and I definitely appreciated that. And a true knight better than I, because I would have taken his head clean off after what he did to that girl. Regardless of whether I liked the girl or not, just you see injustice and it just has to get met head on. No pun intended, but I would have taken his head right off. But again, this was a classic Game of Thrones battle scene here. This show caused me to relax. Even at its worst, it wasn't bad. There was times when you kind of forget it's a Game of Thrones show. And this was the staunch reminder of what universe you're actually living in here. So I was like, oh, here we go. We're back to the Game of Thrones now.
Yeah, minus the split off into the quieter, still bloody, still not death filled, but still featuring a very raunchy death scene.
Yep.
Cutting that out just for the sake of it being so different from anything that would have happened in Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon for that matter. The actual fight of the trial was fucking dirty.
Yep, it was dirty. Yep.
I have thoughts about this episode as a whole that I'll get into when we talk about like the ratings and stuff, but I was a little worried that they would like stretch the trial over a whole 30 minutes. And I was like, how the fuck are they going to do that? I think they did a decent job and with what they did show, but also like, I do wish we'd seen more of the other knights fighting, like just a little more instead of just kind of in the background like they were. I know the focus was supposed to be this. It was supposed to be Aryan and Dunk, right? But I do wish we'd seen a little bit more of what they went through. I
definitely would have appreciated more like wider shots of everybody fighting at the same time, so you can kind of see everything going on, and I get it. It wasn't the important part of it, but anytime there was like another fight that they would kind of pan to, it was kind of cool seeing, because the fight was practically over for these two. And then you see they focus in on the other knights still fucking going at it. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Like why do the main people have to be the last people standing? You know what I'm saying? Like there's probably people would keep fighting after that. So I don't know. It was kind of cool.
Well, and I guess, they weren't the last people standing. They were just the only people you really saw for the vast majority of anything. Because there were still some of the other people fighting in the background up until Aryan was like, so withdrawing my accusation, yielding here, guys.
Yep.
Jerk.
Tallest tale number 3. The realm needs good men, but somehow they almost never live past the season's penultimate episode. The moment where Dunk takes a knee before Prince Baelor and says that he's his man is great. Prince Baelor taking him at his word and responding that the realm needs good men is great, but what happens next is so sad.
Yeah, so very true to these series. These series,
series.
I know series is plural, but very true to these series. But yeah, I don't want it. I don't want it.
I don't want it.
Pull up like Jon Snow here. I don't want it.
It was heartbreaking, but honestly, it really didn't surprise me though. The second he started complaining about his helmet and like trying to get him, like, here comes the brain, like something's just gonna oh yeah, like the second they did that, I was like, nah, because he looked at him and he was like, oh, the helm is cracked or whatever, and he's like, yeah, help me get it off or whatever. I'm like, well, why would it be cracked? Probably because he got bashed in the face with something, and something is like holding things in place now. As soon as he took it off, I was like, no, here it comes.
It wasn't as gross as I thought it would be, honestly. I'm glad it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
I don't think it needed to be. It was still,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I'm glad they didn't go further with it. They did that enough earlier in the episode with someone else, which we'll get. I will also talk about that in a moment. But I think we're ready for our favorites roundup.
Yeah, so Dunk's flashbacks were really cool. It was nice to see what he was doing before Sir Arlen. So it was kind of neat, and it was kind of a cute little like love story-ish almost. It was just kind of cool to kind of see that kind of flashback that was just more basically just him as opposed to him and Sir Arlen. So it was kind of neat to kind of see a further flashback there. Obviously the battle scene I thought was done really well because it wasn't pretty in any kind of way. This is exactly the kind of battle scene that I'm into. Anyone who's heard this podcast has known how much I've just ranted about how much I hate Star Wars lightsaber scenes, right, dude? Like, I just fucking hate them because they're so choreographed and so like unbelievable. New Star Wars anyway, but like the older ones were fine. But so to get to see this, it just came off as just more brute force than anything else. Like there was no grace behind it. It was just like, we're going to swing this thing like we're swinging a bat. That's it. That was one of my favorites. When Dunk falls and Egg starts like yelling at him to like get up. That was so fucking touching, dude. Hands down. That was definitely my favorite.
Especially how long that went on with him just saying, get up, sir, get up, sir, get up. I'm like, I'm with you. I want him to get up too. But it was so sad and pathetic. And I don't mean pathetic like Egg is pathetic. It just like, he doesn't want his sir to die. And Dunk really looks like he's a goner for a long several seconds. There, like 30 seconds, a minute. I didn't time it, but it felt really long. We were chatting before we recorded here with our friend Patrick, and I also mentioned Dean, and maybe you felt the same way, but Patrick was like, my poor Dunk. I said, yeah, he's Dunk's a lump now.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, Dean was like, how is he even still alive with how many fucking stabs and knocks on the head he took and everything? And it's like, for a minute there, it didn't look like he was. He somehow got through it. For me, my favorites, Dunk and Egg's little like repeat exchange about Dunk hunting Egg down with dogs. And Egg just goes, woof. That was so cute. Egg not saying, well, you don't even have dogs. He just said woof. And it was cute. They have a little inside joke.
Yeah, exactly.
It's their little inside joke. And then in the flashback, little Dunk, not so little Dunk, but little young Dunk, thinking that the Blackfire Rebellion is over because the Black Dragon, who was a Targaryen bastard, by the way, who was basically, he wanted to be ruler. Yeah, Dunk thinking the war is over because the Black Dragon and the Blackfire Rebellion, is dead. And Rafe puts Dunk right by basically saying like, no, this is going to keep going. Not all of them are dead. That one guy is dead, but not all of the people who fought for him are dead. And all the people who wanted to put him on the throne are dead. And she says, no one forgets shit. You hurt someone, they hurt you back. And it's just like, that hits because obviously we're not talking about wars for thrones anymore, but in real life, like how many times you have it out with somebody and you're like, I'm just walking away from this and they won't let it go. That happens in real life, in modern life all the time. Too often, if you ask me. The internet makes that so much worse because back in the day, it's like you might talk some shit to your friends when somebody wrongs you, but now it's like there's so many places to put your whining.
Yeah, exactly.
That people don't shut up even as much as they did 25, 30 years ago.
Yep.
And then also like not Dunk stopping to pet the goat goodbye because of course he would when they thought they were going to go to the Free Cities. That was honestly like a favorite moment for me because I was like, of course he would, and I love this. This is why I love him.
That's just classic Dunk right there.
Yeah. What would you rate this episode?
I'm torn about it because it seemed like I was watching two episodes. It felt like I was watching two separate episodes.
Yep.
And you'll elaborate more on that one on yours because it kind of coincides with it.
Yeah.
But that was the only thing that I feel kind of like made it not as great. It seemed like the whole battle and all that stuff was more of a small part of this episode as opposed to what they were trying to tell with the first part of the story. So I would say the rating, I don't know, man. I would give it like a 6 or 7 out of 10 Dunk eggs, honestly, just because we all know it's going to happen at this point. We already knew, like, there was nothing that was subverting expectation here, right? We kind of knew what was going to happen, and anything that was coming up, like, I already knew. I kind of guessed that the guy was going to yield. I kind of guessed, he wasn't going to kill him or anything like that. I guessed that this guy's brain salad was going to come out of his head. It's like everything about the episode that they were like kind of conjuring up, like I kind of already predicted it. I knew the girl was going to die, in the flashback thing. Even just as they introduced it, I'm like, well, she's gonna die because clearly not around anymore. So I felt like in this one, it was good, like in the sense of like the context that was in it and stuff. But just for me personally, I was like, yeah, kind of already, like, I don't know. Everything became extremely predictable in this episode as opposed to some of the other ones. It wasn't a bad episode in any kind of way, but that's just,
I mean, I know you said you predicted the brain thing, obviously, like when he asked, did you think Prince Baelor was going to die before that point?
No, I didn't think he would, honestly. Yeah, no, they
it was really just in that moment, you knew, okay, well, now it's over.
Well, again, I guess one of the things of this episode, and I'll just be completely honest here, I kind of forgot he existed up until that moment.
Even after the beginning where he was like, don't die, guys.
Yeah, it was like, oh, okay, cool. But there was so much other stuff in the episode. Like, again, this is where it felt like I was watching two episodes at one time where I couldn't, like, my ADHD couldn't focus on one of the storylines to like focus on it. But when he came back, I knew at this point, I was like, and honestly, it's like you said, look, he was too good of a guy. And he was like a good guy because he's, part of the Targaryens or whatever. He's like a good guy. And you're like, you wouldn't expect someone good to be like that. I'm like, no, he's fucking dead. Guaranteed.
Especially as a Targaryen. We can't let like a decent Targaryen, either we can't let them continue to be decent and then they die, or we can't let them be decent and live. As a decent person, as we have seen over and over. Daenerys, and honestly, it's happening in House of the Dragon too, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to give it, I think, a 6.5. I don't think it's quite a 7. I don't think it's down to a 6. What I'm knocking points off for, the flashback scene did seem overly long. Rafe's death by throat slit definitely was overly long. I mean, they drew that. I don't need to see this poor girl choking to death on her own blood as Dunk is like, can I put her back? Can I like patch her neck back together? I don't want to see, I don't want to see Dunk. I don't want to see young, mostly innocent Dunk crying over the girl that he loves. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. When I was writing the summary at the very end, it's like, we don't want to see Dunk sobbing and apologizing anymore. Like, we already had to see that once over a girl he knew for a period of time and worked with and lived with and cared about and was trying to get out of flea about. Oh, no, I don't want to see it anymore. No more Dunk crying. I just plug my ears. And then also another kind of detraction for this continuity / editing error that I sort of mentioned earlier, where Rafe and or Dunk, when they go to try to buy their passage out of Flea Bottom, Rafe puts the coin down and the guy's like, not enough. It's double the price because everybody's trying to leave now, right? That's fine. I'm not dinging everything as much because I did, as much as I didn't want Rafe to die. That was horrible. And poor Dunk having to go through that was horrible. The reason Dunk is as good as he is, I don't know that he would have been that good if she had betrayed him. If she had been like, well, it's not enough for two people. Okay, just me then. Peace out, boy. Yeah. So at least she didn't do that. But anyway, the continuity / editing error, when they're doing this, she puts the money down. Neither one of them picks it up. She puts the money down. The guy says it's not enough. And she gets mad and stomps off. And Dunk just follows her. I watched the episode twice. Even actually, Dean caught it on his first watch. And he was like, they didn't take the money. And I was like, yeah, I noticed that last night. And I'm glad he noticed it too. So I'm like, I'm not only did I notice it both times, but he noticed it as well. But yeah, like they don't pick up the money, but then apparently they have it back in their possession anyway, just minutes later.
Interesting.
And they don't show them going. Yeah, they don't show them going back to get it. It's not a big deal or anything, but it's like, come on, guys. Honestly, it's no Starbucks cup on the table in the feast with Daenerys in the North in the last season of Game of Thrones. But some continuity person did not do their job here, or some editing person cut out some small bit where one of them reaches back to grab it. I don't know, but come on, y'all are better than this, I believe. Yeah. So I'd 6.5, I think. Well, Maester Manny's predictions for the season finale next week. What dost thou predict, sir?
I predict that I'm going to go a little deep on this one, guys. So I just want everyone to I feel like Ass Hattian is going to try to recruit Dunk to be on his side or as his special little knight or something like that. That's what I think is going to happen. Could be totally wrong, as I normally am, but I am right at least 27.6% of the time. So I think I have a chance here. Okay, but that's what I'm predicting. I was going to say, like, they're not going to accept the fact that he won, which is probably going to be the right answer, maybe. But I'm like, you know what? Because when you get bested like that, but you're still kind of royalty and this person is nobody, why wouldn't you want that knight by your side and be like, well, now you're going to be the knight that fucking guards me or some shit. And then, of course, Duncan's probably going to say no. He's going to be like, no, fuck this, like, whatever. He's not going to protect some fucking piece of shit. So that's my prediction.
Any last thoughts?
Did they kind of halfway ruin House of the Dragon by saying that Daemon's rebellion was over?
Different Daemon.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yep. Different time. This is quite a bit in the future.
That's what I thought. But I was like, maybe I should ask, because maybe they're just talking about that's still the same rebellion while he was around or something. Like, I don't know. So I was like, let me at least ask.
There were a couple things I just wanted to touch on from watching the, like, after the show interviews that they do. I did like how they pointed out that Dunk getting up, because, you know, when Sir Arlen says, get up in his flashback and he gets up. And then even when Egg is screaming at him to get up, he sees Sir Arlen again before he actually gets up. And what they said was this is kind of about showing in a way what Dunk really has to fight for. I guess he gets up for himself. He gets up for Egg, I'm sure too, but he's really getting up for Sir Arlen. He's getting up for Rafe so he can stand by how they taught him to live. I really, really liked that. And as soon as I heard that in the interview, I was like, okay, I see that now. And not that I thought they did a bad job of showing it or whatever, but it made it a lot more clear to me why the flashback existed the way it did. Again, I still think it was a little longer than it needed to be, especially with all the Sir Arlen battling, Dunk limping along behind him. Did he or did he not see him? Schrodinger's Dunk. of Schrodinger's things in these shows, honestly. What is with that? But yeah. And then, of course, just the RIP Prince Baelor, sadly. This is what happens to, as you said, many/most people in this world who choose to do the right thing. When will we learn? I mean, I already knew, but at the same time, it's like seeing it, even rereading, because I think I've read the Night of the Seven Kingdoms novellas like, I don't know, 5 or 6 times maybe. And even rereading them, it's like every time it gets me. Like, of course he can't. Of course, Prince Baelor can't live. He's a good guy.
No, he's a good guy. Anybody who's out there to do good is just gonna be 6 feet under. It's as simple as that.
And then also there was a quote from the interviews that really, it touched on something you said last week, where for episode 4 about how, like, on the one side it's the prince and the people who have to fight for him, and the people, or like, you didn't specifically say this, I don't think, but the other Fossaway, Sir Seven Fossaway, who fights for Aeryn's side because he gets a lordship from it. But the quote from the interviews was, on the one side, the prestige and entitlement; on the other, the knights who have made their way. Now, that's not totally true, because Prince Baelor is a fucking Targaryen prince, and Lionel Baratheon the Baratheons are the head house of the Stormlands. So it's not entirely true, but I did like that quote. And maybe it's more, I think it's more on the one side, the prestige and entitlement, and on the other, the knights who are fighting for what's right. But at the same time, I liked that. So
yeah.
All right. Well, as we close out the episode, we just want to say thank you to our listeners for joining us for Dunkin' Egg Tales. Woo! Manny and I will, of course, be back next week to cover the season 1 finale of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Meanwhile, for the most current news and updates about this and other Geek Saga podcast series, make sure to follow at A Geek Saga on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and or YouTube. And also, please consider supporting us by backing our Patreon at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.